bring in our Wednesday guest. Ross Tucker is brought to us by Mazda, moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it, because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible, reminding us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep the game moving forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda. Mazda, move and be moved. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Ross Tucker to the show. Ross called the Browns-Ravens game on Sunday, and hopefully can answer some of these DeJuan Jones questions we had, Jay. So I'll let you start it off.
Yeah, Ross, first of all, I thought you and Tom, that's a great crew. You guys do a great job. My hope is we get you on a lot of future Browns games. My fear is we won't, because they're going to be irrelevant in another 3 weeks, if they're not already. I made a statement earlier on the show. We're trying to figure out, how much of this is Joe Flacco. It's an obvious statement, but Joe Flacco just has no time. He can't get set. The offensive line looked very, very ineffective. We were talking about DeJuan Jones grading out. His overall grade was 34 on PFF, and I don't know what your thoughts are on that. We have mixed thoughts on it. What was your thoughts on the line play? And I know it was in and out, but in particular, big number 79. What do you think about what he's put on tape this year?
Yeah, there's a lot there, Jay, on a bunch of different levels. First of all, really appreciate the kind words about the broadcast. I love doing it. Never gets old. Hopefully you guys can tell I love doing it. Love shows. Football.
Yeah.
I don't care what game I'm doing. I'm fired up about it. And I actually really enjoy watching that Browns defense fly around. So I was enjoying it. There was, an old school AFC North slugfest for a while there. As for PFF, mixed emotions there also. It's funny, the founder, he reached out to me before he even started the company and was asking for my opinion. I said, I think offensive line is really tough, because a lot of times you don't know who was responsible, right. Who's supposed to have whose help or whatever. But I will say this, I think if you look at it from a half or even one game, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. I think if you look at it over the course of a season, it probably evens out to the point where it's pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but really no stat is. I actually thought, by the way, I didn't think the Browns' offensive line was the biggest issue in this game.
Wow.
I thought there were a number of times where Flacco actually had time to throw and nobody was open. And there was nowhere to go with the ball. That was, I thought, more concerning than maybe the offensive line or the protection. It didn't feel like, guys were coming free all the time. It didn't feel like guys were getting beat clean. And remember, they didn't have Jack Conklin again, which is a big drop-off, especially from a run-blocking standpoint, to not have him out there. There were blitz pickup issues with the running back. Roquan Smith got past Dylan Sampson one time. So I know nobody ever wants to hear this, but it's always a combination of all of it, right? I mean, offensive line messing up at times, running backs not getting it done, Flacco not seeing it, not getting rid of the ball, receivers not getting open, all those things combined. And by the way, having met with several of them, a Ravens defense that was fully intent on making up for what had happened Sunday night when they collapsed against the Bills and blew that big lead.
Right.
Yeah, Ross, when watching the game, I just thought the Ravens had a really nice game plan for, the blitz pickup. They looked like they dropped the backside defensive end in coverage a little bit. They had a lot of simulated pressures. And then they were bringing Roquan Smith and making our running backs like Dylan Sampson have to block him, which is, it's a tough ask. When you're an offensive line and you look at some of the protection stuff, a lot of times it could look like an offensive lineman was the problem. But sometimes, in your estimate, could it just be that they did a really nice job of scheming up some guys and scheming some pressure for them?
Yeah, so, and by the way, I just remembered I didn't answer Jay's question in particular about DeJuan. Yeah, I did think it was weird when DeJuan was out for a series and then Leviston came in and he quickly got beat around the edge way too easily.
Yeah.
And then it was like second down, and DeJuan came back on the field. You do
It
not
seems
see
like it's
that very
awfully
often.
knee-jerk.
It might have been the change of the quarter, or there might have been some timeout. I can't remember exactly, but it's rare to see an offensive lineman come back onto the field during a series where they didn't start that series. So I thought that was notable. And I think everybody's going to blitz when Dylan Sampson's in there now, right?
Yeah.
We know Dylan Sampson is a good receiver out of the backfield. We know he can move very well. They're going to make him block. They're going to make him show he can block, or the Browns are going to have a different plan where they split him out and hopefully get that linebacker out there with him, or they free release him. So even if the guy blitzes, they can still just dump it to him, because it does not look to me, and he even admitted to us, Tennessee didn't involve him in the passing game very much. Like, they didn't throw it to him very much, which, by the way, makes what he did week 1 in particular against the Bengals even more impressive, that he was that good out of the backfield. But, yeah, I think that that's a big part of it too. And, the Ravens, interestingly, they have to scheme pressure. They don't have Myles Garrett. They don't have elite pass rushers. So the Ravens have to try to be creative and scheme pressure. Although it was funny, I don't know if you guys caught this, but Odafe Owe is going to be a free agent after this year for the Ravens. He just smoked Leviston, right? And Leviston pulled him by the back of the shoulder pad for a holding penalty. And then they took him out, and Owe's over there like yelling at the D-line coach, like, they got their backup in. Like, why did you take me out? Like, he needs sacks to get money. He wanted to be out there. So they were chomping at the bit to get after the Browns' backup tackles in particular. So I think it's hard to make an overarching statement about the O-line, given the fact that they did have the backup tackles in there at times, really the whole game for right tackle. And also, I just, they're not a team that's going to be very good playing that way. They're not a team that's designed to really come from behind. They don't really have a receiver that stretches the field. I think that their receivers are probably pedestrian overall. And so they're going to have to throw the ball a lot to their tight ends and backfield and try to play with the lead as much as possible.
Ross, you
Ross, no, he's not wrong.
You like the match. Listen, you said that Owe was getting money, right? Well, another position for Ravens that got some money was the wide receivers, because I don't know what happened in the corner room. I don't know. Denzel was out with cramps. Coming into this season, we knew that that Martin Emerson that got hurt. Were you shocked at the Browns' approach to not going to get another corner, knowing like Denzel may be in and out, knowing Genu may be in and out? Were you shocked that they decided to just run with what they had?
It's a really good question. A couple things. One is, it's only a week ago where Joe Burrow was calling Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, the best corner pairing in the league, right? And I didn't find out right away that Denzel was cramping. It's a huge loss. He's a terrific player. And that is the strength of the Browns defense is their D-line, Myles in particular, and then their corners, Denzel in particular. I thought, that the Ravens did an unbelievable job of knowing who had the bullseye for the Browns, knowing their weak link and attacking it. And the issue is the nickel corner, right? I mean, they're still splitting reps between Myles Harden as well as Cam Mitchell. And, I don't mind, guys, when guys get beat. It really bothers me when they don't mentally know what they're doing and they don't use their help. Let me just tell you, you guys know, I played in Cleveland for a little bit. I was not good, okay? I mean, I was average at best. I never got beat when I had help. I always knew where my help was and overset the guy the other way. To have multiple touchdowns, I think the first one was Cam Mitchell to Walker. The second one was Myles Harden to Walker. To have multiple touchdowns where the nickel corners don't know where their help is and they don't maintain the outside leverage and funnel those guys to Ronnie Hickman in the middle, that is bad ball. And hopefully I made that point on Sunday. But, like, to me, one of the biggest differences between college ball and pro ball is college, you see a bunch of mental errors and kids don't understand where they're supposed to be or where their help is or their leverage. That is unacceptable, in my opinion, in professional football. And it cost the Browns 2 touchdowns. So when you go back and you think about the game, it's like, okay, well, the Roquan fumble return for a touchdown. You had the Flacco pick, which was obviously not good at all. Both turnovers were really bad. We know that. But then even the touchdowns the Browns did give up, everybody was playing good defense except for the nickelback. And so in terms of what you said about Emerson, I don't know what their internal eval was on Harden and Newsome. I think they kind of like Harden, but he's a second-year, 7th-round pick. He's still kind of learning, which is maybe why they're giving Mitchell those reps. But let's just put it this way. It hurt him tremendously. And who do you think the Packers are going to pick on this week? What position do you think they're going to target? Everybody's just drawing up plays now to try to pick on the cornerback for the Cleveland Browns, and rightfully so. The nickelback for the Cleveland Browns, and rightfully so.
Ross, you sound just like this dude I know that said that about 3 weeks, probably after the second game of the preseason. It's this dude by the name of Tyvis Powell. You might have heard of him. He said exactly what you just said.
I thought you was talking about G. Bush.
No, I said that because I was talking about the Cam Mitchell. I was like, they're going to find 29.
You're going to need a shoulder sling from injuring yourself.
Well, and listen. When Denzel's out, then they're both out there.
Yeah.
Then 29 and 26 are out there.
Yeah, pick your poison.
And then they can pick their poison.
Yep.
And I think Schwartz is really good. And I think he's trying to do things to protect the nickel. Think about this logically, right? If you have a single high safety in the middle of the field, the pressure is supposed to be on the outside corners, because that single high safety in the middle of the field, he can't help those outside guys. You really do the single high safety in the middle of the field to help the nickel, so that the nickel knows he has that guy behind him and in the middle. So that Schwartz must be like beyond frustrated that these nickelbacks aren't knowing where their leverage is and aren't funneling the guys to Ronnie to even give themselves a chance.
Hey, Ross, I have a question for you. We've talked on the show in the past about culture and how that can make a difference, not just game to game, but season to season. And in watching that game, Ross, and maybe I'm kidding myself, but the Ravens were gifted 21 points. They needed a total of 31 offensive yards to put 21 points on the scoreboard. If you figure it out, points per yard, they got a point every 5.85 yards they moved the football, which is astonishing to me. I felt like that was a game the Browns could have won, even into the mid to late part of the third quarter. But in watching every snap of every game my entire adult life, what I've come to learn that the culture inside the building and inside the organization almost dictates that those plays on the margins that decide games always seem to go one way. And when you watch a team like the Ravens and the Steelers and the Patriots for a long stretch, where the culture is winning and unaccepting of mistakes and losing, those plays for the most part go their direction. What part do you feel culture plays in season to season, game to game for an NFL franchise?
Well, listen, I played for 5 teams. There's no question that when you're in like New England, when Brady and Belichick were there, right? You expect those things to go your way. You expect good things to happen. And I think that there is something to be said for, the power of positive thinking. And then when you're on other teams, maybe not as much. Maybe you're more hoping, right? That said, Jay, they did score a touchdown where the ball went right through Marlon Humphrey's hands. It should have been a pick.
Kind of wild.
You're
and
right.
It went right through his hands. And by the way, the week before for the Ravens, the ball went, it tipped off of Dawson Knox's hand, went right to Keon Coleman for a touchdown. Otherwise, the Ravens win that game. So Ravens fans have no sympathy. They're talking about 2 touchdowns back-to-back weeks that went through a guy's hand. So what I will say, though, is the Browns with Flacco are competitive, and they're going to be competitive. But they can't lose the turnover battle, right? They can't have that horrible interception and the bad fumble. And they certainly can't lose special teams. I mean, you can't have a punt blocked and give up a big return either, right? If you look at their roster, okay, it's an average at best roster with a below average NFL starting quarterback, but he gives them a chance to win, and they believe he gives them the best chance. You got to win the turnovers. You got to win special teams. If they win special teams and turnovers, they're going to win some of these games. But when they lose those, they have like no shot.
Well, Ross, you segue right into the our final question, and we everybody want to know. They say that he gives them the best chance to win. Now, there's 2 tracks here. You play the guy who gives you the best chance to win, but there's another track where you want to evaluate rookies, right? I guess the answer is, at what point in time do they cross those train tracks and say, well, we know Joe can give us the best chance to win, but we are having turnovers, but we are winless. At what point do you say, I'm going to turn to the rookies? And what is the mentality of a veteran like yourself if they do move to the rookies faster than you thought they would?
Well, first of all, I think that's one of the reasons why Flacco's starting is because they want to look at Wyatt Teller and Conklin and Batonio and Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett and feel like they're giving those guys a legitimate chance to win. Because I think those guys probably know that, they're not winning the Super Bowl really probably with anybody, but certainly not with, rookie 3rd-round pick, rookie 5th-round pick. I think the Flacco question, it's not an easy question to answer, but it also kind of reminds me of, wasn't the Supreme Court justice that said, I don't know how to define pornography, but I know what it is when I see it.
Yes.
I don't know how to tell you when they should move on from Flacco, but I feel like a lot of you will know when you see it. I don't think it's after one bad performance, but I think if he stacks bad performances, then the conversation should really heat up. Now this will be tough against the Packers. They're the number 1 team in my Ross Tucker podcast power ranking, so this will be difficult for sure. But I think that I'll also say this. I think, number 1, you'll kind of know, you'll have a sense for it. I think the organization will as well when they see it. I also think they want to win a game. I think if you put in Gabriel and or Shador too early, you're really at risk of having like a incredibly bad year, right? I mean, it's one thing for Gabriel to have a nice drive in garbage time, and I love the touchdown pass and the touch he put on it. But I think deep down, maybe in places they don't want to admit it, I think they really want to win a game while Flacco's in there, win at least a game. And nobody said this to me. I'm just making this up. But win at least a game with Flacco before they turn the page and go to the young guys and then maybe be in jeopardy of not winning a game.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because the last thing you want to do is wear that 0-17 hat.
Oh,
no one's worn that one yet. We're one of 2, I think, that has the 0-16 hat.
Yeah, you can't run that.
We don't want to be doing. Ross, man, we love your insight. It's so informative and just so on point. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you 2 Wednesdays from now. What game are you calling this week? Give it a plug.
Yeah, no, I got tomorrow night on radio, Westwood One Radio. I'll be doing the Dolphins at the Bills. Dolphins are really struggling. And then Sunday I have the undefeated Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones against the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, the Colts are rolling, and I'm excited to see Cam Ward in person.
Yeah, there's always great storylines. Ross, thanks a bunch. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
Sounds great. See you guys.
Yes.
Awesome. That was Ross Tucker. We got our next